So if you're in the world of the US Department of Defense, you know that cybersecurity is way more than just a buzzword. It's a massive, high-stakes game. But you've got this alphabet soup of standards, right? NIS 800-171, 800-161, CMMC. It's enough to make your head spin. Today, we're going to untangle all of that and show you exactly how they fit together to protect national security. Let's do this.
To get why this is so critical, let's just start with a number, a huge one. $600 billion. That's the estimated global cost of cybercrime in a single year. You see, adversaries are hammering the defense industrial base constantly, and when they steal sensitive info, it puts the whole country at risk. The stakes are just incredibly high.
Okay, so two key ideas are at the absolute heart of everything we're about to talk about. First, the Defense Industrial Base, or DIB. That's this giant network. We're talking over 300,000 companies, all working with the DoD. And second, Controlled Unclassified Information, or CUI. This is the sensitive data they handle. It's not top secret, but it's stuff that absolutely needs to be protected. Protecting CUI inside the DIB is the entire reason these rules exist. So here's our game plan. We'll start with why the supply chain is such a big deal. Then we'll look inside the walls with NIST 800-171 and beyond the gates with 800-161. After that, we'll see how CMMC comes in as the official mandate. And we're going to tie it all together with a really simple idea, the fortress and its trade routes. First up, let's talk about this digital battlefield. You know, as cyber threats get smarter and our supply chains get more and more connected, the DoD has had to get really serious about securing its entire network, not just bits and pieces. To really get our heads around this, let's use an analogy. I want you to think of your organization like it's a fortress. It's holding all the valuable stuff. In our case, that's the CUI. And your number one job? Protect that fortress from adversaries who are trying to breach the walls and steal what's inside. And that brings us right to our first standard. Think of NIST 800-171 as the rulebook for securing the fortress itself. This is all about what happens inside your own walls.
Okay, so NIST 800-171, this is the foundation. It lays out 110 security controls that are mandatory, not optional. They're grouped into 14 families, things you'd expect like access control and incident response. And the bottom line is, if you're a DoD contractor and you handle CUI, this is a direct, non-negotiable part of your contract. This is the absolute baseline for protecting those crown jewels.
But here's the thing. A secure fortress just isn't enough anymore. Now we have to look beyond the walls, out into the world. And that is exactly where NIST 800-161 comes into play. This is our guide for guarding the trade routes.
Right, so your fortress can have the strongest walls, the best guards, the whole 9 yards. But if you're letting Trojan horses roll right through the main gate, you're still toast. Your supply chain, all your vendors, suppliers, and partners, those are your trade routes. NIST 800-161 is the framework for making sure those routes are actually secure. So here's the key difference in a nutshell. 800-171 looks inward. It's all about how you protect CUI on your own turf. 800-161 looks outward. It's all about managing the risk that comes from your partners. It's really that simple. One secures the fortress, the other secures the trade routes. And this right here is another huge distinction, how they're enforced. NIST 800-171 is contractually binding. It's got teeth, enforced through regulations like DFARS. If you don't comply, you could lose your contract, period. NIST 800-161, on the other hand, is considered best practice guidance. It's highly, highly recommended, but it doesn't carry that same direct contractual punch all by itself.
So how do you actually guard those trade routes? Well, the source material gives us 5 key steps for a solid cybersecurity supply chain risk management strategy, or CSCRM. You start by developing policies, then you gotta assess your suppliers, you need transparency, like demanding a software bill of materials and SBOM, then you build security right into your contracts from the start, and finally, it never stops. You have to continuously monitor for new risks.
Okay, you've built your fortress, you've secured the trade routes, but how does the DoD know you've actually done it? Well, this is where the inspector arrives, and that inspector's name is CMMC.
CMMC stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. The best way to think about it is as the DoD's verification program. It isn't a whole new set of rules. It's the system they use to audit and certify that you're actually meeting the standards we've been talking about. It basically turns the rulebook into a pass-fail exam. And here's a quote straight from the DoD that just nails the purpose. It's all about providing assurance. CMMC is how the Department of Defense confirms for itself that a contractor can protect that sensitive info, both inside their own company and across their whole supply chain. Now pay attention, because this is the aha moment. This is where it all clicks together. Remember those 14 control families back in NIST 800-171? Well, guess what? One of them is dedicated entirely to supply chain risk management. And when it tells you how to implement it, which document does it point to for guidance? You got it, NIST 800-161. So they aren't competing at all. They're designed to work hand in glove. 800-171 tells you what to do, and 800-161 gives you the guidance on how to do it. This table shows how CMMC 2.0 pulls it all into focus. Level 1 is foundational stuff. Level 3 is for the super sensitive data. But for most contractors handling CUI, the magic happens at Level 2. And what's the requirement for Level 2? Simple. Implement all 110 controls of NIST 800-171. And, as we just saw, doing that right means having a solid grip on your supply chain security too. So let's bring our analogy home. Building a complete cybersecurity posture isn't just about your own organization anymore. It's about the entire ecosystem you operate in. If you take away only one thing from this explainer, please let it be this. NIST 800-171 and NIST 800-161 are not in competition. They are two sides of the same coin. They are complementary. You cannot do one and call it a day. A complete, real defense needs both. You need that secure fortress. That's what the mandatory controls in NIST 800-171 give you for your internal systems. But you also need secure trade routes, and that means managing your third-party risks using the guidance from NIST 800-161. Because without secure trade routes, your fortress is just a house of cards, waiting for one bad shipment to bring the whole thing down. And that leaves us with one last, really important question you need to ask yourself. You may have the most secure fortress on the planet, but in today's world, are you absolutely positive that your supply lines haven't become the new unlocked front door?